John Castaneda, Daniel Santos, a bantamweight bout. Should be a striking one. Should be a stand-up game. Could even see a finish. Both fighters well versed in their strikes. Gonna be an exciting one. How do you think this is gonna go down, Shide?
I'm actually leaning with John Castaneda here. I think that he's had a lot more experience throughout his career, had the more meaningful fights, and I think he's about 3, 4 fights in his UFC career. And has fought some good people and has had good wins over like Miles John, like we've seen in his last fight. Um, who else has he fought? Of course, Eddie Wineland, which he demolished in a round, and then Nathaniel Wood back in 2020, which he lost to. But obviously, we know the level of Nathaniel Wood. There's no shame in losing to him. And I think that was even his UFC debut. So for Castaneda to come in and have the debut against the likes of Nathaniel Wood, um, it shows a lot. Obviously, he didn't get finished by him or anything like that. And he's gone on and fought twice. Also, before he got to the UFC, I think he finished Marcelo Rojo by submission. And we know that Castaneda, as well as being a good striker, he's got good grappling, ability to engage in submissions and to get some submissions there. Like we saw in who was it? I think the Miles John fight, isn't it? He got the submission, the arm triangle choke, but for a few times in the fight there, he was showing a little bit of his grappling. Daniel Santos, on the other hand, one fight in the UFC against Julio Arce, really actually I think he done really well. Like when we was watching it, I was actually thinking that Santos won. Obviously, then we saw the strike totals. I got a bit confused, and I think the output looked quite impressive from Santos. And that's one thing that stuck in my mind is Santos likes to throw a lot of strikes, throws the kitchen sink out there with his striking, and it's a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing when you're looking at calculated strikers like John Castaneda. I think Daniel Santos throws too many strikes without looking what he's actually doing properly. And I think in a fight like this against Castaneda, he really needs to slow himself down, because I think what will happen is Daniel Santos will probably have a good start to round number one. As that round one sort of ends there, I reckon Castaneda is going to start landing clean shots of his own. And if Santos isn't careful, going into round two against Castaneda, he needs to remain and save some energy rather, because if he blows his gasket in round number one and puts it all out there, round number two, if he slows down a little bit, Castaneda, I think, will finish him off, because he's got that sort of strike and that sort of power. He's got the grappling as well. Santos hasn't really shown much. I mean, his last fight before he come to the UFC, he got an armbar victory and he had some decent grappling. So we need to see more from that, to be honest with you. I mean, there's not much to really go off Daniel Santos to see his grappling, but we know for a fact Castaneda's got good striking, dangerous. He's got good grappling, good submission game. Going with Castaneda here, I think he actually gets the finish over Daniel Santos. I think he's more than likely going to shock him, due to the fact of I think the levels. Obviously, Julio asked for Daniel Santos in the UFC date for his UFC debut is a good fight, but he lacks that aggressiveness. He lacks the power and he lacks the meaningfulness from like striking. He is not really like a impactful, hurtful striker, Julio asked. And you saw he had a lot of success with his boxing, with his striking. And Castaneda's got that one thing in common with Julio asked, is that he moves well around the cage and is able to get off on his strikes. Plus, he's got that power and can come forward as well. So Castaneda has it all in this one to win. I don't see him losing to Daniel Santos. So I'm quite confident in John Castaneda. How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I see this one toe to toe, definitely toe to toe. They're gonna be striking. Both of them like a good variety of strikes. Both of them like to throw the kicks in a lot. Got some nice high kicks from both of them. Daniel Santos probably throws the more variety combos from what we've seen of him. He likes to mix it up a lot, man. You can never prepare for what he's coming for next, or he doesn't have like a routine, or he doesn't stick to one kind of thing. He's always throwing it around. But John Castaneda, he also has good combos, but I feel like he's just a bit more accurate and more calculated with his combos, so that gives him the advantage a little bit more. And also he has the wrestling and grappling capability a lot more than Santos does. Santos does have a submission under his belt, but Castaneda's grappling technique and ability is higher than his, so that could give him a lot more advantage, especially as they are both going to be striking. They are both going to be standing up striking. That's how it will begin. As soon if Daniel Santos does overpower Castaneda at the start, then he can just resort to his grappling and then win. So I'm leaning a bit more towards Castaneda, but I think this is going to be a close one. I think it's going to be an exciting one, so to be honest. A very exciting
Yeah,
one.
I mean, if Daniel Santos is able to put the paces on Castaneda, right,
Yeah.
and he's not able to really let Castaneda get in his rhythm, he's able to stay away and survive like a round 2 against Castaneda. Yeah, Santos could win, but I think his output is only going to last for the most part of round 1 and maybe half of round 2. I think he will tire, but he's in it though. I mean, we've seen him; he's dangerous.
He's definitely in it, yeah. He's
Throws
definitely in
like
it, but
100
Castaneda
strikes.
just has that little bit over him. You know, he beats him on reach, not leg reach, but punch reach. He does beat him on arm reach, so that could play the advantage within the striking, as they are both like good strikers. So that could give him the advantage.
Yeah, and I'm actually thinking it's going to be a lopsided victory for Castaneda.
Wow.
I think Santos is going to be sort of missing a lot of his strikes in this, and I just think that the output is going to him not being calculated enough, like him rushing his work. I think it's going to be his downfall, and he's probably going to learn a lot from fighting John Castaneda. Probably be a better fighter coming away from it. Both going with John Castaneda in this one. I think he could potentially get the stoppage over Daniel Santos here. If not, then I think a decision victory. I think he beats Daniel Santos comfortably. And what are you going with again? You saying you think it's going to be a bit of a tight one, right? Bit of a close one.
It's going to be a close one, a good battle, but Castaneda will come out on top.
There we have it. Both go with Castaneda. Let us know who you think is going to win this one in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and we'll break down the rest of this UFC Fight Night card. Dern versus Yan.